Hey Moushmi, welcome to the Lumiere Learning Monday. And the audience, those of you who've tuned in live, welcome to yet another episode of the Lumiere Learning Monday. So, Moushmi is the season two, she's the 18th guest of season two, and we are so delighted to have her here talking about her journey as a banker, as a person working in the financial services sector to becoming an entrepreneur and a high touch, high tech platform that she's built that's called Gratify that she's going to talk about. So, welcome, Moushumi. Thanks once again for joining.
So good morning and thank you so much, Deepa. The pleasure is all mine. And just to be able to speak about something that one is so passionate about, triggers all kinds of emotions, right?
Yeah.
Bit of that is also nervousness, right? Whether you're going to speak correctly, whether you're going to cover your story or not. So, totally here to take it ahead the way you would suggest. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Moushumi, you are a Bombay girl. Did you grow up in Bombay?
No, not at all. Actually, Bombay is my karma bhumi, you would say, right? Of course, not only Bombay, but a bit of it internationally. I was, in the US as well as London for a little bit, and but most of it has been Bombay and all India. I've done these roles. But I'm a Bengali by birth, married to a Kashmiri Pandit. So the family is, kind of this mixed all over the country. And we got married at the Art of Living ashram in Bangalore. So, people tease us many times that, I'm from the east, he's from the north. We met in the west, and then, we married in the south. So it is, the journey has been one across the country. So, you know.
So beautiful. And each of these experiences would have sort of shaped you in some way to bring you up to this point. So, how did gratitude happen in your life? When did you awaken to the notion of gratitude, Moshmi? Can you tell us any stories?
Of course, the first and foremost, uh, I lost my mother, when I was young, and it's actually, difficult to speak about those days because my brother was young and I was young, and you know, uh, I still remember my childhood when I had to, follow my mother to the, ghar ka little temple that you have generally, apna, and then I would pray to God like she would do. And one day, she was not there anymore. So you won't believe what it felt like. I just stopped praying for actually years. Till my MBA, I must tell you, I didn't pray. I didn't ever go to the altar, like go to the Gharka Mandir also. And then one day I was sitting, and one of the teachers, in my MBA program just came by, and she said, I always, see you sitting on Saturdays, like a little morose. What happened? So, I didn't want to tell her, but, I started talking. And then actually, it was a Saturday when I lost my mom. And I still remember, every Saturday, would somehow make me feel this. And somehow that day, I started talking to her, shared the story. And, I suddenly felt relieved. And I,
Wow.
kind of held her hand and I said, I feel so wonderful, I feel almost like going back to a temple and going and doing, like going and saying thank you that I still lived. I mean, I don't know how I lived, how my brother grew up, and, I felt so grateful. I suddenly felt that the world had done a lot of things for me. My father, imagine, in our times, I mean, they don't know how to run a family, do anything, and he took care of us. And, he was known in our house as, like, this trade union things. We we were on one side, our mom and my brother and I, and my father was on the other side, where he would boss us and tell us and all that. And suddenly, overnight, he had changed, taken care of us so beautifully, and I felt so grateful for life. From that day, I'm really fond of reading, and so one of these beautiful things that came to my life that day was that if there is a single prayer you ever say, say the thank you, right? And it stuck to me. And I was actually just 22 or 23 to, that time. And of course, a lot of things played great roles. My husband, so those times he was not my husband. So we actually, there's so much that life has offered to me that I feel overwhelmed. Okay. And
Beautiful.
one of the reasons I started all of this is also motherhood.
Hmm.
I so that's another whole long story to tell. That if somebody asks me to introduce, what I say first, Deepa, I say that I'm a mom of a very spirited kind of boy, right? He's very quiet, but if you talk to him, how spirited he is. So that's what actually makes my whole journey full of gratitude. Believe me, I mean, uh, I don't have a single complaint, and if I ever have one, I kind of just sit again on those Saturdays and tell myself that did you remember somebody held your hand and spoke? So there'll be somebody else who'll hold your hand and be with you. So just be grateful.
Beautiful. So that teacher really was a special person, huh? Who sort of
Absolutely.
unlocked something in you. How precious is that?
That's and the teachers are like that, Deepa. I mean, we don't really give them that credit. And in today's world, I must tell you, even today, actually, some of the bosses from my first job, okay, my first job after my MBA was with Raymond.
Raymond.
Yeah, it was with Raymond's, and Raymond's was a very well-known brand, and a whole group of around 20 of us joined as management trainees over there. And at the end of, so through the first 6 to 9 months, they put you on the shop floor, put you on the franchise shop, like you go and actually sell in a in a showroom and do all of that. At the end of it, what they do, they tell most of the girls, I mean, I'll say I was a girl then, a woman now, but and most of the girls, they would say, you join marketing services, and everybody would be excited to join marketing services because advertisement in Raymond's, franchisee, shop opening, decor is such a hype, such a beautiful thing, right? So most girls would join that, and that's what I was told, go and join marketing services. you know from then till now, I must tell you that, I always put my foot down on many things, right? So I came and told my boss, I told the general manager, who's sales and marketing head, and he was, he had allocated all of this. Everybody said, my HR guy said, no, no, you can't. I mean, it's allocated to you. I said, let me go and speak to Mr. Arvind. Can I just speak to him? So that's how I went in, and everybody was very upset why I was behaving like this. They had given me the best, of opportunities to be in, in franchising and advertising, and here I was. I said I wanted to be in sales. So I walked up to him and I said, "So I want to be in sales. Can I do sales for only 1 year? And if you don't find me good enough, then maybe you can put me back." He said, "No, you're good. That's why you're in marketing. So you don't have to feel bad." So I said, "No, but if I don't know how to sell, if I don't meet clients, if I don't know what it is all about, what marketing would I ever do?" So I think it's one of my, what should I say, one of those loveliest things that happened again. So he said, okay, I mean, okay, if you want to go and slog it out, you want to go, ride buses and, cabs, and you want to go to, remote places of Maharashtra, just go, go. Abhi chale jate hain. He was like very, then I had a little doubt in my head, did I do the right thing? I mean, where do I have to travel? Obviously, we are not so used to traveling so much, I mean, and till that time, very protected. And my father always, had some driver, somebody around with me. And here I was suddenly in a new place, Bombay, and being told, jao, jao, tumhe, you can go into remote Karad and, Baramati and all that. Take it, you'll go. So I said, I mean, what did I do? But it's one of the best things I did, Deepa. I actually understood what this whole process of business was. It was all relationships. You won't believe even brands are actually built on relationships. If you go to these remote places, they're not buying Raymonds, they're buying it from the shop they buy from, right? So, that retailer, the distributor, the CNF agent, the whole significance of a distribution channel was something I so beautifully learned from that, from that one little thing that I did, and of course, so grateful that somebody agreed to give me that opportunity and had the faith that I would, do it. So I didn't regret it 1 minute after that. Yeah.
And did you pick up Marathi as well?
Oh my God, I'm so bad at languages, but I picked up one thing, okay, besides this topic. I never had tea before that, right? I used to
Okay.
be not a tea person, but if I went for a sales call, so they would say, "आप कुछ लेंगे?" And I would say, "नहीं नहीं, मैं तो नहीं लेती, पानी लूंगी." And so they would look at me like with strange eyes. Firstly, so all men come, women don't come, so they're not so comfortable talking to me. So, that's when I picked up having tea. I didn't pick up having this because, I just wanted to spend time with them. So, sometimes over a cup of
Yeah.
tea, so much easier, right? So, yeah, I guess one of those habits has stayed, and I'm like a total tea drinker now. Not very proud of it, but I can drink cups of it through the day. So that's
So the sales stint taught you relationships, taught you business, taught you what smaller town and how a brand's built in smaller towns and big towns, and really understood what is it that marketing does. Where does the bread and butter and the bacon really come from? Who's paying for all the ads that we make, right? So
That's right. And you know what happened actually in that, in that time is that when I was going through all of this, I realized that, slowly I became and very quickly actually I became a regional head and I started looking after even Andhra Pradesh as a territory. And what I found that any geography I went to, it wasn't very different. Only the way people reacted or the way people perceived things was different. But one thing that was common, everywhere was the strength of the relationship. Also, let me tell you, the strength of the relationship of the organization with the channel partners. Amazing. They
wow,
would do anything for Raymond's. It's not because it was their bread and butter. It was because, they felt so associated with it. It was almost as if it is my company. It was
wow,
not that I'm a distributor of that company. I am the company. So when we visited there, they treated us with so much of love, right? I mean, sometimes they would negotiate so many things with us, right? Because as they say, so we push them with targets and, all of that happens. But at the same time, there's so much of, like you are our own. That's what I
wow,
felt. And I cherished it. Believe me, I'm still in touch with some of them and I cherish it because we don't do anything anymore together really, but I cherish it. Some of their family deaths, whatever, or births, marriages are places that give me immense joy and pain.
yeah,
And I think that is what I was always as a person, which
amazing.
sometimes is very difficult, Deepa, because most of the world runs on the head, right? And I always run with my heart. And so, let me tell you about this interview that we are doing today. My boss in ING, Naveen Suri, is in Singapore now. And yeah, I wrote to him, I'm doing this. Whenever there is an occasion, I write to him even today. And so he told me, "You're going to do very well. You always speak from the heart." I told him, I told him that, I said, I really said thank you because I said, you make me always aware of what, the strengths are.
Yes.
Everybody doesn't have the same strengths, and, what we have
Yeah.
is ours, and we can, really work on that. So
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
that is how I was always as a person. When I have to go for movies with my parents, I would cry my heart out. Even today, if you tell me, I will sit on my, you know see something on Netflix and cry. So yes, but you can use it to your strength. Don't make it your weakness. That's all. So over this period of 20 years of my career, I felt creating an emotional bond, was my strength. To rope in my emotions, which is really a weakness, is something that I've learned over time. But I still like to play on the strength. I still like to believe that I would, be better off if I do things from my heart. And that is how this concept of, so not only this, many things. When I started working after being a regional head, as I grew in my profession, I realized that when I was sitting and doing the KPI or KRA of the teams, the main things that were written on that, the sales, revenue, new clients acquired, I never found anything, which said client loyalty or, what are your earlier clients doing? Nothing was there. And obviously I was young, and I thought that is the way businesses are. I'm also supposed to ask people what new sales or what new customers. Then slowly, as I got into the financial service side, I realized again the same thing, right? How does this work? So I said, but that is how it was. It was a set HR protocol. That's how you're going to kind of evaluate your team. So, yeah, and I started reading whether it was the right thing to do. So, there was so much all over, research that was done, on client retention, loyalty, all the things that you hear today. Harvard Business Review saying, it costs you 5 to 25 times more, to get a new client. So much research, right? Bain says, retain 5% more and you'll get 95%. All of it proven, right? Over time, over years. And still, companies did not really have anything to talk about client loyalty or client retention. So I was amazed why that was happening. So I started doing that. I started asking that if you have a large HNI client or a large institutional corporate client, can you go and ask them to refer you a few? Why? And so they were doing it, as such. Obviously, great sales guys do that, right? They go back to their guys, and because they have solid relationships, they actually get more references.
Yeah.
And so there's such beautiful research and work that I found in my journey. It's like totally something that one should really look in. So what happens, like you find the needle in the haystack, right? I mean, because you're looking for it, otherwise you'll
Yeah.
miss it, right? You're never going to see it. So it was just possibly my nature, the person that I am, that made me go into these things. And so as I grew in my career, I started looking at this element very, very closely. So, what I would really do is I would ask them, do you have, did your client recommend you? If he didn't, don't go and ask first for a reference. Why don't you see why he's not giving you one? Okay, there must be something lacking, right? Are you like do you have you built a relationship? First build it. Okay, only then do you have the you know only then do you have the right to even ask. If he's not happy with you, why would he ever do something? So first he has to be satisfied and delighted, and only then and then with one of the HR team, heads, I actually started speaking about. So I chanced upon a Nielsen, research that talked about, so it was about brand loyalty. What creates brand loyalty? Is it the 30-second spot, or what creates brand loyalty? And that research actually said something which was incredible, and everybody had to listen at that time when I really pushed the topic. That do you know that almost 90%, okay, of people who are recommended something by friends or family actually go and purchase. So recommendation actually plays such a big role. And who's going to recommend? Only your loyal clients, right? Only your loyal, customers are going to recommend. So that brought me to another little aspect of, relationship, which was internal customers.
Hmm.
Deepa, first I had to actually talk to HR, right? So that's how I started talking to teams, HR, and I realized that, I'm not HR person, right? So when I realized, started again reading that, because that's such an integral part of being, how can you have client loyalty if you don't have employee loyalty?
Yeah.
And if your employees are not loyal to you, how would clients be? It's nature, right? It's how it is.
Correct.
It's like, you have scales are going to be together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, one beautiful thing that I had the opportunity to speak about, when I was studying this, I found that, do employee engagement was not known in this world till around, I think, 1990s. I mean, I know that, Deepa, you're very, well written. So, like till 1990s, till Khan, I mean, nobody knew that there is some
Yeah.
concept like employee engagement. So, can you imagine how fresh the whole idea is, and how
Yes.
taken for granted it is? Whereas it is so important, isn't it? So that's how I started towing this idea of relationship holistically, not just
Hmm.
to, think about clients, but also employees. So inner clients as well as, external clients. Because
External.
if you don't work on both, then it doesn't gel, it doesn't work together. So that's
So
how
you
I.
were 20 years at that time, and when did the ideas that you wanted to do something on your own first start, and how did you process that? Were you sort of taken aback, acknowledging that you were feeling this way? And
Actually, I was very satisfied professionally. I had grown, pretty rapidly in my career. I was earning well, and you know, I was really scared of taking any step like this. But as they say, now this the whole, the whole world, the Brahmand takes, take these steps. So ING was moving out of the country. Okay. And I realized that I had spent time, grown there, traveled, done extensive amount of, it was a huge learning experience. And it was the eighth largest financial conglomerate, and we got really good opportunities. And most people, when ING was moving out, they were moving out of the country also, the senior people. And I told myself that, I'm so passionate about so many things. Why don't I, kind of work on them for a while? Okay. So that's how, things kind of fell in place, especially because I was totally emotionally driven by spending some time with my son. I'm going to be honest. It's not that I
how
want
old
to.
was he at that time?
Oh, my son was, so 6 years. So he was around, maybe 10ish. He was
Okay.
around 10 years old. He's 16 today. And so he was in his class, fourth. Yeah, yeah, that's right. So he was young, and I had to travel so much, right? My husband was also working. We were all traveling. Of course, we had a very supportive family. My in-laws, as well as my father, he's totally loved and actually spoiled. So no, but I thought, suddenly everything kind of fell into place. Deepa, it was like an awakening moment, and I said, I didn't spend, I didn't get to spend time with my mom, right? So I was, older than that, and I said, in a few years, Adi will go away to study somewhere, and I may not even get any time to really cherish it, right? And but let me tell you, I would really still come back home, rush back home, 2 day trips, come back at 12 at night because it's Saturday next day, and I want to be with him and all that. I did whatever I could do to the best of my ability. And then I said, let me do it. Okay. Let me do it. And I was very lucky. I actually got some consulting assignments from some very good organizations. And, it just fell in place. So it was like, I could be on my own and still not be without a salary. So,
Yeah.
it's like, how scary it is, Deepa, actually, because we are so used to it. We are so independent. It's not that financially we require it really, but,
Yes.
I really think I'm a very independent person. And, I always pray that not for requirement, but for the joy of working. May I work till, my last breath. Um, Not out of
Beautiful.
need, just to the sheer joy of working, right? So that's how it happened. And I started working with people on customer loyalty. Okay.
Ah.
First, yeah, that is how it started. And then when I was speaking from the outside world and I was not in a company, people started listening to me. Because
Yeah.
when you're inside, people are like, okay, follow the norm, like you're part of it. So some people started listening to me, and we started doing some programs for, the salespeople for high net worth, like private banking kind of guys. And then I chanced upon a very beautiful book called Giftology. I was in the US. My
Giftology.
Giftology, yes. And actually, there are so many books one can talk about in this world, but this was like, and I just was reading it. It's not a very common or any book, and it spoke about how gifting can be made such a strong element, right? It can actually create branding, it can create loyalty, and how one can go about doing it. And so I started reading more about, so many other books. And then I don't know if you've heard of this, the inverted funnel, have you heard
No.
about this book by Joseph Jaff? So because I have been reading this, this is all that I know. So this inverted funnel concept, I started talking about to people, because otherwise it's always from discovery, right, to retention. So I said, why not
Ah,
retention to discovery?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a feedback loop concept similar to that.
Yes.
You
It's
create word
somehow.
of mouth and yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So that it's such a unique thing. This actually just the book thing attracted me, the inverted funnel, and I started kind of going through this whole process, and then I had to trigger on what is it, that one element that connects people. What is that one element? Relationships are built on many things, right? So I started reading, speaking to people. Let me tell you, I have been very fortunate. I had the opportunity to meet the sales RMs, their regional heads, general managers, and head of a lot of organizations, lot of them. And so when I started speaking to people, I realized that everybody felt that that it's great to actually work on your existing clients. So I asked them, why don't you do it? I mean, you kind of totally know it, right? It's great to work with your clients, your employees. That, like, replacing a trained employee costs you almost, like, sometimes 20 to 200% more, right? So all of
Yeah.
this you are aware of. Then why not have something like this? So that's how slowly and in small pockets I started creating these. And I started in my head to look for this one element that brings everything together. Okay, brings everything together. And I was telling you, so I am one of those, I love reading Rumi and, Shairi. I'm a Bengali, so I love music and, all the art forms in every way. Whether I can do, cannot do, I love to still sing. So all of that. So I chanced upon this line that, that came from Rumi. He says that, what wine is, to your body, gratitude is to your soul, right?
Wow.
So when I read this, I said, this is it. Okay. So if you feel gratitude, you never feel anger. You don't feel upset. So I started talking to the RMs and said, this client gave you business. Do you feel grateful? So they would say yes. I said, did you convey the gratitude? So
Ah,
sometimes, oh no, that's not the way. They're going to be embarrassed. Oh no, 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 I don't like it. I think it's too personal. So, I started speaking to some of them, and I slowly said that actually, many men think that saying thank you is not such a nice thing. It's like a little, I'm going down somewhere. I guess even women think, I don't know, I wouldn't say anything on genders, but I feel that people feel a little, they feel that if I say thank you, that, somebody will take me for granted, right? Or something to that effect. And slowly I started speaking and I started believing that people want to say thank you. People want to say thank you, but they don't know how to say it. That is the
yeah.
only difference.
So
They
beautiful.
want to say. So that is how Gratify was born. Okay. And I have had some utter failures, Deepa, in this
6 years
journey.
now of doing gratified, Moshmi,
Yeah,
and
6 years not of Gratify. Gratify is, the platform that we built now. But the journey is every day a journey. I faced a lot of lot of failures. Initially, there was no WhatsApp, right? I mean, till around 4 years back, not so active. And we used to have SMSs. So I created a network of auto SMSs, right? So we work on this concept of communication, something for touch and feel and something to create a bond. So that's how, the three elements that you can work on. So we work on this concept of the gratify circle of trust. So you do it through different means, right? So you have to communicate regularly. You need to do a touch and feel. That is how you send a product, right? Ensure it goes with a handwritten message. All of that, right? So when we were doing all of this journey, I actually I started I started a platform on SMS, automating of SMSs, right? And it was a personalized system. I spent a lot of money. It was called At Work,
it was called
and I had called it At Work.
At
At
Work.
work, it's working for you. So I told the
At Work,
company,
yeah.
yeah. And you know, and in no time, SMSs kind of vanished, and WhatsApp
Yeah.
was it. And I put in that much kind of capital,
Wow.
so many hours of work, and I was like, "Holy God, what have I
You
done?"
the complete disruption
Yes, and
overnight.
overnight, and I felt so disillusioned. I said that, the amount of work I had done, the hard work. So, when I spoke to my husband, he said that it doesn't matter. ये सब होता रहता है, okay? So you just see what can be done now, right? So don't worry, it's okay. So he is very casual. He says, I mean, nothing like that, nothing to give up, nothing to yeah. So I kept asking, do you think I should just go back to my consulting? Should I just go back to a job? I'm going to get something. He said, don't joke, right? Create. I mean, it's my passion that I should create something that lives beyond me. I keep telling him. So, he's sick of listening. And so my brother and, my father and now my son, oh my God, I mean, the amount he can give me gyan about is unbelievable. So he's 16 and he says, ki, doesn't matter, kuch nahi hoga, you go back and do something again, okay? So that is how I started once again putting together the platform of Gratify, right? But I must tell you, everything has the right time, Deepa. I'm still not sure whether it is the right time for Gratify from the word perspective. But from my perspective, this is the time. you know I feel that I want to speak to people to tell them that businesses are built on relationships. Okay, everybody knows it, believes it, but they find it difficult to execute it. That is all. They just find it difficult to execute the plan. So, as Gratify, we can help you to execute the plan. You know your clients best, you know your employees best. With my background in learning, with my team's background in learning, I can only nudge you and tell you that this may be a way to do it. And after that, help you to do it. That's all. So, also, Deepa, it's a privilege, right? That in today's world, people believe in expertise. Earlier, everything was in house. Everybody did everything in house, right? I mean,
Yes.
I'm sure in your career you realize everything, you did in house. But today, we believe that there is a world of experts out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's how the whole thing
So
started. And
when you redid, that was when you used you'd moved away from the SMS platform. So to build the new platform, like from at work after at work to build gratify.com, how long did it take you, Moshmi?
oh God. So tell me, actually, the lockdown was a very, difficult as well as an opportune period. So we started when the lockdown happened. It happened suddenly, right? We didn't know last
Correct.
year. So we had started working and we had some revenues. We had some, funds which we had got. I had managed to get a bank to do, help us out and do all of that. And suddenly, even the bank realized they're going to possibly not have any revenues. So they came back to me and said, "Are you sure you want to put in the platform still?" I said, 100% sure. You know, this is the time to use your brains and use your time to do something constructive for the future. So that's how we worked on it over the year. And in January, when things started opening up, we were ready. We had tested, we had, worked. So I won't say that it is still, it is always a work in progress, continuous work in progress. But fascinated with what Gratify has, created, the kind of little, a little appreciation that the team and I get about it. So, yeah, it's been worth the journey, till now. So,
So when you were looking at the possible sectors on the customer end, and when you were looking at really building this, what were some of the obvious sectors you thought would really need this as like a low hanging fruit?
so I think one of the so mainly companies who have a B2B, right? I mean, who have these larger clients that they deal with, where long term relationships are at. See, it's applicable to everyone, right?
Correct.
I mean, even if I am a customer, a retail customer, I like to be, important, right? I like to be important. But if I'm a repeat customer for someone, right? I mean, so wealth management, private banking, pharma, right? IT is a completely relationship exercise, right? I mean, if you are a service provider of IT, so any company, so we focus on these because we believe that here we can make a mark, because these are relationship led sectors as such.
Yeah.
But otherwise, every sector, even if we speak of FMCG, that is the company to their channel distribution, is a great possibility. The other thing I personally, as I constantly say, I'm not an HR person, but I really actively work on, and we've started working with some large corporates, is on employee engagement, because I feel till you have your internal clients in place, working only with external clients on this whole concept of thankfulness or gratitude wouldn't work. So
So
that's
you have
how
both the internal employee piece and you have the customer piece. So typically,
that's
what happens when a corporate signs up with you? Can you tell us, handhold us through what happens? How do they reach you on the website?
Yes, so actually we have a whole, we have a team, who goes out and speaks to people in these. So we are currently focusing on financial service and pharma as
Pharma.
sectors.
Okay.
Yeah, because IT uh, is, another whole segment by itself. So pharma, a group of the team works on pharma, and the other on financial services. And how it really works is that when we speak to them, we must firstly speak about we speak about the our circle of trust. We tell them that the whole data is so clear anyways of building relationship. The idea is that we help you, we are not your competitors, right? So many times in the team, they feel that we are competing, right? I mean, HR says, I was doing it, and why would somebody else do it? So we are not competing with you, we're just assisting you, get it done smoothly, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, for let us say the CRM. So CRM is a technical bit, right? It is telling you, it gives you several things that tell you about the client. But what are you doing with it? That is what Gratify does, right? It tells you. So what do we do? So we basically work on communication by scheduled. So our platform allows you to schedule WhatsApp messages, right? So plan it for the full year, for whoever, any of your internal or external. So plan it for your year, it will happen automated. So scheduled WhatsApp, scheduled mailing. Then even our strategic, where we call it like the product, that is, create a touch and feel, that's how you send a gift. We ensure, so we work on this concept of annual subscription plan. So whatever funds you have, it starts at just 999 rupees a year for 4 time contacts, right? Where a product is sent with handwritten messages, and we work on these four elements, the trust aspect, which is personal, inner circle, which is family, then it is something where we call social. We are social beings, right? So if a company is associated with a social project, talk about that social project. Send something from the NGO, from the social aspect to them. And then finally, a reminder, which is, back to the circle of being personal. That's how we have built, the touch and feel element. And then, of course, we do events and experiences which create this whole, it brings everything together, creates that bond. So that is how, Gratify works. So after we present Gratify to them, we first have a whole section where we ask them. So there are a few questions we ask, right? What do they currently do? We just don't offer our solutions. We first ask them, what is it that they do? How do they relate to their internal or external employees? So we spend a whole lot of time actually on that. Once we understand, then we suggest a solution. But for smaller corporates, you can just come and actually do it online. Everything is like totally automated, so you can just start up. You can just be there, you can purchase the WhatsApp plan, the email plan, everything is for you to pick up. So anyone, whether it's a chartered accountant or whether he's a doctor, anyone, any small large company, whichever it is, can actually come to Gratify platform and use it seamlessly, believe
So you have some plans, since we're in the last 5 minutes,
me.
the next 1 year and the next 3 years. What is your ambition, dream, vision?
So, if I have to tell you that I would firstly really like to reach out in the first year. I would really work to reaching out to more corporates to create the knowledge of this whole thing, right, and start working with them. So the target is not from a perspective of just numbers. This business plans are something that can stay there. They will be there because finally we need money and the mullah. But in my heart, if I feel that if I'm able over this period of time to even reach out to some SMEs or some companies which are at that 100 crore 25 crore limit, where we can really make that difference, where I can see the business growth happening, I would love to do that. So in the first year, by 3 years, Deepa, I certainly want retail, even semi retail, to actually be able to use Gratify. That
Very
is
nice.
really my motive. In 3 years, let everyone, all of us are thankful for something. So let's use Gratify to, convey the gratitude. So
And it's a challenge,
that's
isn't it?
great.
On the one hand, you want to keep the human side of relationships, of, genuinely wanting someone to say that it's not that Facebook reminded me or Gratify reminded me, but I remembered your birthday. It's a little different. So, will you be tackling these kind of issues going forward? Because,
See, technology is here to stay, Deepa.
yeah,
Okay? Technology is the enabler, it is not the human.
correct.
So, Facebook can remind you, Gratify can remind you, but what you do creates the bond. The reminder is not the bond.
Yeah.
What you do is the bond, right? Whether you created a personalized message to send him is the human bond. The reminder is technology, because why wouldn't you use technology to remind you? Right? Use it because that is what the world is. It has to be. But still, don't forget to give a handwritten note. When you send flowers, when you send, something, don't send flowers which will dry up. Send something which has a good wish. So in Gratify, we really, really work on, things which speak of good luck, good wishes, good energy, because they speak from the heart. So I would love for people to use technology as an enabler. That is what gratitude, Gratify does. It is an enabler, right?
So
Rest of it is
you've got the technology platform, you've got the customer side. What about the products and services that actually get gifted? Do you also tie up with those brands? And
Yes, absolutely. Without that, it wouldn't work, right? So we actually work with some of the largest brands in the industry. We are, corporate partners. We do our own content. We have a team to do these messages. So for example, friendship, any of the days. So we have content writers to work on them to come out with more, heart-touching messages, which can be used by you, because not everybody can write, right? So we enable you, help you to get that message across. So yes, absolutely, that's another part of the whole growth story, right? We have to keep on feeding, right? It's a continuous process of movement. So we have to be on our feet every minute.
So, as an entrepreneur, if on a continuum of fear and a high adrenaline rush, where exactly are you at this point in time with Gratify?
I would like to believe on the high adrenaline run, Deepa. I always am such a person. I cannot, I mean, whenever there is this fear, it keeps lingering somewhere every morning. I I just push it aside. I just say, just shut up, stay there. I am not going to be scared. And I'm in Aries. So really, that's what I am. So
Awesome.
totally always positive.
So I will close by saying so much gratitude for you to come and talk about Gratify. Or it sounds very cliched, but I really, really mean it. I think for people who are looking to start something on their own, wanting to take that plunge, for people who are, who kind of experience disruption but were in that feeling of, should I, shouldn't I, make sure that you have your allies and buddies supporting you, your team, and I think just go for it. And thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
thank
Moshmi.
you so much, Deepa. I would really love to say something that, like I said, I can't finish without saying this of Mirza Ghalib, that, मुलाकात जरूरी होती है अगर रिश्ता बना के रखना है. नहीं तो वो पौधे लगाते हैं ना हम, वो भी बिना देखे मुरझा जाते हैं. So
Yes,
remember, it is, for us, if we have to build a relationship, we have to be in touch. We have to be.
nurture it.
So I'm totally grateful to you and the team for making this happen, right? Thank you
So,
so
wah wah, Irshad. So, thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you.
I
Pleasure.
should do this.
Thank you, Deepa. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, team. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.